Hey YouTube, how you going? Welcome to another video on Ravencoin. Today's video is really a continuation of yesterday's video where I spoke about moving all of my mining rigs over to mining Ravencoin specifically for the next 19 to 20 odd days. Now in that video I was actually going to include this content but decided to keep it out for the purpose of keeping that video shorter. I think in hindsight I probably should have included it because it did kick off a bunch of conversation, comments, questions, opinions, etc. In that video, and largely that centered around why are you mining Ravencoin if Ethereum is more profitable? Why don't you mine Ethereum and convert that Ethereum to Ravencoin? Now it is a very valid question, and I first of all want to point out that isn't something new. That's not something that just crossed my mind. You know, this is something that as a miner and as miners we need to be conscious of, right? Mining is there's very small differences between certain situations. 10 cents here, 20 cents there, $1 there. It can add up and change the course of your mining journey or your mining career essentially, right? Especially as you multiply that difference over many more cards than I have. So I do want to dive in and kind of talk through that, because mining Ethereum and converting it to Ravencoin does not make sense for everyone, but it does make sense for some people. And I just wanted to share that and run through my thought process so that other people who are new to this journey don't just get caught up in the idea that it is always better to mine Ethereum and convert to Ravencoin. It really is a it depends type of situation. First of all, the important thing to point out is that I have two 3060 Ti's, a 3060, two 1660 Ti's, and a 1070, and they generate 200 mega hash when mining Ethereum, 117 mega hash when mining Kapow, which is the algorithm for Ravencoin. So with those numbers, we can see that mining Ethereum is more profitable on a daily basis, right? When we look at the fiat number, we're looking at $12.65 versus $11.23 for Ravencoin. So it is logical to ask, hey, that extra, $1.42, why don't you mine Ethereum, use that extra $1.42 to buy Ravencoin? Surely you're going to come out in a better position. Super valid question to ask, and again, something that I had considered and do look into all the time. So the first port of call that I think about when comparing, how to get my Ethereum to Ravencoin is, why don't you look to something like Unminable? Now, if you're not familiar with Unminable, Unminable allows you to mine one cryptocurrency and then convert it into another. So in this case, you could mine Ethereum and be paid out in Ravencoin. And they have this nifty little calculator here, so we can plug in our 200 mega hash and see that we would get 112 Ravencoin per day. That contrasts to the 114 that we get mining direct, or the 116 that's the estimated rewards over the past 24 hours. So we can see that mining direct puts us slightly in front. Now, full disclosure, I really like the Unminable site. I'm on here all the time, and this number obviously constantly changes. Some days Unminable is in front, other days it's slightly behind, but normally the difference is 2, 3, 4 Ravencoin either way. Now, because I look at this quite often, my kind of expectation is that it's in front sometimes, behind others, and over the course of a long enough period of time, weeks, months, etc., the difference between mining direct and mining using Unminable will be negligible. You'll largely end up with the same. It's not like over the course of a month on Unminable you end up with 3,000 Ravencoin, and mining direct you end up with 3.5. We're probably talking a handful of Ravencoin either way over those long period of time. So therefore, if there's no advantage, I personally take the decision that I'd rather support the Ravencoin network, because I personally also believe in only mining projects that I kind of believe in or really think have some potential future. Now I know not everyone does that, that's cool, but that's just me. So I do actually prefer where there is no difference in terms of the number of Ravencoin per day to support the network directly, and that's why I've chosen to mine Ravencoin. Now I'm preempting another question, because it would then be very valid to say, well, mining Ethereum and then converting via Unminable while the same number of Ravencoin is achieved has lower total power draw, right? And I'll save on my energy costs. 100% valid, and yes, that does make sense. My rig is small. I've got 200 mega hash, right? So the slight difference in energy cost, to me, I don't really mind. Again, I'm happy to support the Ravencoin network, but that situation would change if I, for example, had a 2 giga hash farm or 50 graphics cards or something, right? So that's where it starts to become a it depends type situation, and that is a valid comment or statement or position to take if you say, hey, look, I'm just going to mine through unmineable because although the end outcome in Ravencoin is the same, I'm going to save on electricity costs. The next thing, though, that's going to come to mind is people are going to say, okay, well, unmineable, obviously they take their fees, you know, and you're missing out on something. You should just mine Ethereum direct and convert into Ravencoin. Again, very valid. I did look at CoinMarketCap, went to their markets tab. They only list one market direct, Dove Wallet. I've never previously used it, but they do have a Raven to Ethereum pair. Because there was only one there, I looked to other exchanges and found two where we can look at some maths, one being Change Now and one being Bitney. I'm not talking to the validity of either of these exchanges. They're just easy to use in terms of being able to see what we can convert our Ethereum into Ravencoin to. So this is where it really does become it depends situation. If I take my 0.0031 Ethereum that I can mine per day and plug it into here, we can see that not only will I not meet the minimum, but the outcome that I'll get from converting is actually worse off than mining direct because of the fees that I'd have to pay each day. Now, this is because I have a relatively small farm, right? And if you said, okay, Paul, well, instead of converting every day, why don't you convert every week? Again, completely valid statement. If I take the 0.0031 times by 7, 0.0217 is the end outcome, we can see that I would end up with 861 Ravencoin versus how many we were doing direct? We were doing 114 times 7, 798. So we can see that in that situation, we are starting to pull ahead, right? Over a longer period of time, that $1.50 difference between Ethereum and Ravencoin's price starts to make sense. Now, I literally did this calculation about half an hour ago when prepping for this video, and Ravencoin was still in front, mining direct. Actually, the amount that you would get was around 840, and the amount that the what to mine calculator said I get each day was higher than 114. It was up to 120 per day, and it was still better to mine direct by about 20 Ravencoin per week. And that really leads to the nuts and bolts of this conversation, which is if you have a smaller farm and you need to hold Ethereum for a longer period of time, I'm talking 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, etc., you then become the party that holds that risk, right? If Ethereum goes down in price, you lose out because you are then converting Ethereum into Ravencoin when the Ethereum prices come down, and instead of getting the 861 you thought you might get, maybe you get 650, right? So and also I think the other thing here is like we wouldn't want to mine Ethereum just to net out at the same amount of Ravencoin. So even in my situation, you might say, the extra 61 Ravencoin, which I think, just quick and dirty, let's say it's 80 cents, 0.08, for the extra $4.88 over the week, like it doesn't take much of a price movement in Ethereum to negate that benefit, right? So you might then say, okay, well, you really need to be mining with your current rigs, Paul, for a whole month, right? So now if I mine 0.0031 for 30 days, get 0.093, right? We're going to end up with 3,859 Ravencoin, which I'm sure is going to be more than 114 times 30. There we go. We're now got 430 odd extra Ravencoin. We're starting to see that extra $1.50 per day that we mine with Ethereum starting to show through in terms of a net benefit in the amount of Raptorium we end up with at the end of the day. But in my situation, I am now holding for a whole month, right? I'm taking that risk of having Ethereum in my wallet being subject to changes in that price over that period of time. Now, I know it can work in my favor, right? The price of Ethereum could go up and you end up with more Ravencoin. Equally, it can go down. But that you are the person still holding the risk, right? Now, this whole situation becomes fundamentally different if you have a significantly larger farm, right? Let's just say, for example, that, 22. So we'll put, let's put 22 3060 Ti's. So you have essentially 1 gigahash on Ethereum. Now, every day you are mining 0.0162. Let's put that in here. You're going to end up with 631 Ravencoin. you can see that on a sufficiently large enough farm, you have enough of an overhead to be able to convert every single day and still end up with more Ravencoin than mining direct, right? So that's all I really wanted to share, was that the idea that it's always more profitable to mine Ethereum and convert to Ravencoin doesn't hold true if you're at the smaller end of the spectrum. The larger you go as a miner, the more graphics cards you have, and if you're at that 1 gigahash amount, you can have enough headroom to mine Ethereum and convert on a daily basis, and therefore and still come out in front. Even if it was a situation where you could only convert every 2 or 3 days, the risk of only having to hold the Ethereum for 2 or 3 days is significantly less than having to hold for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month until you got the benefit of mining Ethereum anyway. So I hope that all makes sense, because I definitely don't want people to think that A, I'm not aware that mining Ethereum is more profitable, and B, that there isn't a way to do that, right? Like, it does make sense if your farm is sufficiently large enough to offset that risk. Or hey, maybe you are someone who's like, I'm happy to convert every month and I just wear the risk of mining Ethereum and hope it doesn't go down relative to Ravencoin. That could also be a valid strategy. But if we break it down to a daily basis, there is that inflection point where eventually your farm becomes big enough that you can convert daily and come out in front. Anyway, hope that all makes sense. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this comment. Comment down below. I do enjoy the discussion and the debate. Happy to continue it, and I'll catch you in the next one.